Other than Rookwood Castle, however, I do not know where else he plans to search.
I've been wondering about something else you said before we entered the mine.
Yes?
If you share Ranrock's views, then why are you helping me?
I expected Rookwood Castle to be deserted when I arrived to begin my search. So was surprised to find a witch there who had set up a sort of improvised research site. She was studying something so intently that she almost didn't notice me. When she looked up, I thought she would react with fear or disdain. But instead she did something that I will never forget. Without a moment's hesitation, she smiled and asked me to sit with her. She told me that she was a researcher and showed me a small, oddly shaped container with a strange symbol on it. She was certain it was made of goblin metal, but was unable to open it. She wanted to work together.
Miriam.
Yes. But how did you...
Professor Fig's wife. He told me of her research, and I know of the container.
Ah. The reverence with which she talked of goblins and their intelligence and skill, it caught me entirely off guard. I'd never been treated with such respect by a witch or wizard. So, to my surprise, I let her study the container if she would allow me to search the castle on my own. We parted ways, with her promising to share what she'd learned. More of Ranrock's recruits arrived, and we began to dig, eventually locating the first repository. Ranrock was thrilled with our discovery, but furious when I told him about Miriam. Berated me for trusting a witch, and I heard she had been killed.
You think Ranrock murdered her?
I don't want to believe it, but I don't know. After that, something shifted in me. I had seen how the power from the repositories was transforming Ranrock, transforming all of them. I could no longer remain a part of it.
Thank you, Lodgok, for telling me this.
I tell you all of this so that you understand what is at stake. Ranrock never found all of Bragbor's journals, but the ones he did find suggest that Bragbor at some point built a repository far greater in size than the one beneath Rookwood Castle. What you've discovered here today worries me deeply. If Ranrock learns of the location of that repository, I fear we shall be destined for a great war. I will find out what Ranrock knows. Watch for my owl.
This looks intriguing. Here.
Anything to do with the dark art should be avoided. It's too risky.
Anything to do with Salazar Slytherin is worth the risk.
I can't agree. And I'll not say a word more. I'm sorry.
I won't give up.
What were you and Ominous speaking about?
He's being ridiculous. Apparently Salazar Slytherin had a secret scriptorium here in Hogwarts. Ominous swears it was used for the dark arts, so he wants nothing. I reminded him that Anne needs a cure. This scriptorium could hold the answers we...
The dark arts do pique my interest.
There's more to dark magic than people realize. The Gaunts know this. Perhaps I've spoken out of turn. Ominous's family history is personal to him.
I'd like to know more about it if you wouldn't mind telling me. I won't
Very well. But do keep this between us. Ominous...
What does the Cruciatus Curse do?
It's known as the Torture Curse. Crucio. It inflicts intense, excruciating pain on the victim. Apparently, his parents and older siblings had no qualms about casting it on muggles for sport. Ominous described the sound of the victim's cries as horrific, so the first time he was asked to cast it himself as a child, he couldn't bring himself to do it. As punishment, his family cast it on him. The anguish was so bad that when asked to cast it again, he relented. I have repeatedly assured Ominous that he did what he had to, but he still hasn't forgiven him.
How horrible. Poor Ominous. He was only a child.
After that incident, the rift between Ominous and his family only grew. That is, every moment he isn't at Hogwarts, he's with us in Feldcroft. Ominous trusts me. And I'll remind him of that when I follow up about the scriptorium. Watch for my owl. I'll make Ominous understand. He'll change his mind.
Upper Hogsfield. Now where to find Mrs. Sprottle? Nice to see you again, Mrs. Sprottle. Actually, Sirona Ryan asked if I'd come and see you.
Oh.
She thought you might need help collecting ingredients for your Wiggenweld potion.
And she's correct. My darling Aidan used to collect Horklumps for me. Since he died...
I'm sorry for your loss, Mrs. Sprottle.
Oh, thank you. If you wouldn't mind gathering some Horklumps for me, I'd be happy.
Believe it or not, I have some with me.
Oh, thank you. How wonderful. The travelling vendors...
Sirona also mentioned that Mr. Sprottle was bringing her a box of letters when he fell ill.
Indeed he was. I'd almost forgotten. He was hoping to go through it with Sirona over a butterbeer or two. Those two were always like two bowtruckles in a branch. Aidan took ill when he was collecting Horklumps on his way to see her. He made it home. The cavern is in the hills just southwest of our hamlet. You can gather Horklumps and collect the box.
Thank you, Mrs. Sprottle.
Thank you. I'll be here if you are able to collect those Horklumps. I and the vendors I help would greatly appreciate it. think you can best, Levioso! Get back here or I'll have you shoes like a lamb! Levioso! Now come on, you little coward!
Thought we could get him at that goblin hole you nicked. You're a bit of a clubhead, aren't you?
These rocks have seen better days. This must be the cavern Mrs. Sprottle mentioned. Clumps to Mrs. Sprottle, but I still need to visit the cave to find Sirona's box of letters. Better have a look around, see if I can find that box of letters. That's all the whole clumps for now. Mrs. Sprottle should be pleased. Either I'll have to fight that troll, or avoid it altogether.
Bombarda! Glaciers! Confringo! Expelliarmus! Glaciers! Protego! Bombarda! Confringo! Glaciers! Confringo! Expelliarmus! Confringo! Expelliarmus! Bombarda! Confringo! Expelliarmus! Bombarda! Expelliarmus! Capulso! Confringo! Potato! Expelliarmus!
Should think they felt that in London.
Revelio!
This must be Sorona's box of letters.
Revelio!
I should take this box of letters to Sorona. I think that's everything. Sorona will be glad to have this back.
On another adventure, are we?
I pressed Ominous regarding Salazar Slytherin's scriptorium, but my efforts were in vain. Meet me outside the Slytherin common room. We need to talk.
Hello, Sorona. I was able to provide your friend Mrs. Sprottle with some Hawk Club.
Oh, thank you.
I'm glad I could be of help. Mrs. Sprottle sent...
Don't know what I'd have done without. And for returning this box of letters.